Hello, everyone, and welcome aboard. It is I, your host of this edition of the American Rail Club, Demetrius Villa. Let's go ahead and start the event over for our friends on Discord. If you still want to get on board, the link is in the description, and we are here. We're starting to get things in a very good direction over here. As far as the club, things are starting to go well. I hope you guys enjoyed some of the shorts this week, and we do have a very good short that will be coming up soon for those of you guys who haven't seen. But I hope you have been enjoying it. We are back over here. Let's go ahead and wow, we got a whole bunch of people over here in the chat. Let's go. Hello, Starforce, David Jackson, Wilson Dang, Grambo, Adam. We're looking at having fun. Hello, Ricardo. Hello, Kay. Hello, Kath. Alrighty. Everybody is doing pretty well, and I hope you guys go ahead and still go on the poll. We still got the poll going on over there. What did you think happened this election? Was it a blue tide? Was it a purple nothing? Or maybe for those of you, it could have been a red wave. Especially if you were in somewhere like back in Florida here. Guys, you can see this is the Make America's Railroads Great Again cap. So don't freak out. Don't freak out over here, okay? This was something that we were supposed to have a way ago, and it just I got to get back onto making those caps because I know a lot of people wanted those caps. We're gonna get to that soon. But Florida, look at Miami-Dade County went red. That is just insane. Wait. So I got the flannel on. We got the MARGA cap on. We got to Make America's Railroads Great Again. There you go. You didn't think I could play an instrument too, right? There you go. I got this, I gotta thank my parents. This was my mom got me this for my birthday. This Suzuki Manji in the key of D harmonica, because I've been playing harmonica for like 5 years. It's a good instrument. You can just bring it in your pocket, play it anywhere, annoy the crap out of people for your first couple of months, and then, get better and then just, make everybody, like you. So, hey, you never know. And, of course, I've been playing guitar as well. I've been starting to pick that up again. I think everybody should play an instrument. But anyway, let's get into this because this has been pretty fun to see. Get the glasses on over here. I'm going to keep this cap on. You know what? I paid good money for this cap, and then I didn't follow through, and I dumped a whole bunch of money that didn't go anywhere, so I might as well wear it, right? I might as well. So let's just keep on what's going over here. Miami has lots of transit. Yeah, that's not happening. All right, so let's close the poll over here. It seems like 27% of you thought it was a red wave. 73% said it was a purple nothing, and I agree. This is exactly what I said was going to happen. It's going to be basically a small shift, if anywhere. And there's still some places that can't figure out how to count. Let's put it that way. All right, it's obvious. Look, everybody cheats, you know. Just like everybody does, you know, poops or whatever, like that silly book, and I think it was a Japanese book or something like that. Everybody poops. But anyway, yeah, everybody cheats. Just some people are better at cheating, and you know what? Hey, if you can cheat and get away with it, why not? You know, at this point. This is what it is. Yeah, whoever wins, we lose. That's right, Kenneth. Whoever wins, we lose. And this is at this point, this is why I see the country start. If anything, this has just gone ahead and proven time and time again that the country is getting far and far more divided, which is why I've been saying, regardless, even if it wasn't, we have to start building regionally, starting in local areas, starting in states. That's going to happen. But anyway, we'll go over what has happened here. This is from an email from the Rail Passenger Association, talking about sort of the transit that has come through. And it really did. Transit did pretty well in this election. So we see here in Arlington, Virginia, Metro and Transportation approved. Voters approved a $52 million bond for transportation and transit, with more than $42 million going towards Arlington County Sheriff Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority's Metro Rail Capital Improvement Program. All right, not bad. Here we are, Boulder County, Colorado, issue C1 and 1C, and we've discussed some of this in the ARC Lounge from last week, looking through all of these and seeing which ones were pretty good. But you know, let's see. You know, we'll go ahead and see where they go. And some of these are in your areas. If you want to talk about them later on, if you have some more news pertaining some of these issues that are going on, go ahead and share some links in the chat, or if you're on Discord, go ahead and share them in the general chat, and we'll go ahead and look and see where they are. Also, if you're on Discord, we will do a little meme round at the end, so go ahead and share your memes. We'll go ahead and have those at the end. We're going to get through the articles quickly. I'm trying to get this done within an hour and 30 minutes, so we have a fair number of articles to get through, and then we'll go ahead and have the caller session in. Remember, I'm going to keep the timer over here. We're going to keep it to 5 minutes per person, and then we will go ahead, have the meme round, and call it a night. So hopefully let's get that through. All right. So Boulder, Colorado, voters approved the extension of an existing tax to continue funding countywide transportation improvements and maintenance work. Proposed projects include additional bus rapid transit lines and upgrades to rural transit service. Not bad. Okay, I'm not a fan of bus rapid transit, but at least it's something. So most of everything here has gone approved, right? Massachusetts question 1 approved. Voters approved a 4% tax on income over $1 million to fund the repair and maintenance of roads, bridges, and public transportation, as well as public education. As I've said in the last stream, a lot of people who make that much money, depends on where, because once you get past a certain percentage, a certain amount of money, you can basically buy accountants to fudge the scores however you want. And look, these are the same people who are making the rules anyway, right? You think they're going to make them get themselves hurt? No, they're not. They're not going to. But this is what it is. While the specific allocation of funds will be subject to committee-level work done by Massachusetts State Legislature, Governor-elect Maura Healey has outlined a detailed plan for transit and passenger rail in her campaign platform. The Healey plan includes many goals previously endorsed by rail passengers, including the introduction of regional rail service as opposed to commuter rail, and construction of an east-west rail corridor. Okay, so that's pretty good. I haven't really looked at this detailed plan. I do have it there. If you guys want me to look at it, go ahead and let me know, and we'll see. Let's see what else we have. New Bedford and Fall River, Massachusetts MBTA expansion has been approved. Residents of New Bedford and Fall River overwhelmingly voted to join the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, a precondition for launching service on the South Coast Rail Line. So what you're seeing here is that you're seeing a lot of different states and regions either coalescing together or trying to figure out plans by themselves without really much help from the federal government, and trying to go ahead and pass these local ordinances, these local plans by themselves, which is good. This is exactly the type of area that we need to start going to. Stop looking to Washington, D.C. to fix anything. Start looking closer. Look down the street. It was probably your commissioner's office, your mayor's office, your county mayor, governor. Those are the people who are going to be making the decisions, especially your state legislature, because state legislature can make or break things over here. Let's see. So what else we have? Hillsborough County, Florida. A transportation sales tax has been rejected. Well, no kidding. When you put it like that, a tax. Those people are gonna look. There's a reason why people don't. We've seen enough money where it's gone in the last couple of years, especially in the last almost year or so. Billions of dollars have gone to a certain country in a certain part of the world, in Eastern Europe, apart from a certain other country that has gotten $3 trillion in the last 20 years. But we've given this country, billions of dollars, and people are getting upset. Why don't we use that money to build and fund infrastructure here in this country? I'm not going to go into it, but if you know, you know. Voters rejected a 1-cent sales tax that would have funded road repairs and added new transit options. Editor's note, thanks to reader concerned USF fan for letting us know that the ballot measure was reinstated by an appeals court ruling. Here's hoping it's a rebuilding year for the Bulls. Okay, for the University of South Florida in Tampa, if you guys are not familiar with it. But again, we'll see. And the reason here's the thing. There's enough tax going around. Absolutely. It's really finding a matter if you can allocate money instead of going ahead and doing tax. We said before, a lot of these half-penny tax measures or penny tax measures or 2-cent tax, with inflation, probably be 5 cents or a dollar at this going rate. But the problem is that a lot of these plans have been pushed through before. We discussed what happened back in Miami. They had the half-penny tax that was promised to go to the Metro Rail. Never happened. The Metro Rail only got 3 more miles after that, so it didn't really go anywhere. Sacramento County, California. Measure A, the votes are still being counted. The no votes are leading on a transportation sales tax again. There we go. Another sales tax to fund the maintenance and construction of roads, more roads as we need them, as well as the expansion of the Sacramento Regional Transit Light Rail System. This is the problem when you start mixing in putting and earmarking a whole bunch of different measures together instead of just having and solely focusing on one. Laser focus on building rail systems. Okay, just have one rail system, 2 rail systems, 3 rail systems. We may have another surprise host coming in, guys. So he may just pop out. I'll let you guys guess who it is before we go in. And the guys in Discord already know, but maybe the guys in the chat don't know who's coming back on after a long time hiatus. We'll go over there. Let's finish this up, and then we'll see who it is. We just skipped one. Orange County, Florida, transportation system surtax rejected. It seems like the taxes aren't doing so well. It seems like people don't like being taxed. Voters rejected a 1-cent tax increase for transportation purposes, with 45% of revenues dedicated to transit. The Sunrail Regional Passenger Rail System would have been a major beneficiary. Unfortunately, having a surtax tax of any sort doesn't do well. San Francisco, California, Proposition L approved. Voters extended a half-cent sales tax for transportation. Hey, it's San Francisco, so they're getting taxed enough already. So what's 101% taxation at this rate, right? With transit getting the lion's share of revenue. The plan calls 41% of the funds to go to maintaining and enhancing Muni, the municipal transit, BART, Caltrain, and local ferries. 23% for major upgrades and expansion of rail and bus transit services, 11% for paratransit services, and only 19% going to roads and highways. Okay, so at least it's getting better, right? There's getting more. At least San Francisco. And look, San Francisco's got a lot of problems as well. You're literally stepping in SHIT in a lot of places. But hey, there are some things that do work, right? And also with what's going on, there's especially in the House, there's a little bit of a shift. I said a little bit towards the right. I said that was probably going to happen. But what we're seeing, especially in places like in New York, you're seeing a lot of younger Republicans. And not only that, I don't know if it mentions it over here, but a lot of the Republicans, especially near the Acela corridor in the Northeast Corridor tend to be much more supportive for rail measures, much more supportive for Amtrak. Because again, it's in their area. They happen to be younger. It's later on over here. Rise of the Amtrak Republican. It was a bad night for House Democrats in the New York Metroplex. Democratic representatives Sean Patrick Maloney and Tom Malinowski, both members of the House Transportation Infrastructure Committee, were defeated by challengers Mike Lawler and Tom Keene, respectively. Mike Lawler's a millennial. I think he was born in '86. But you do see a lot of these. Here you go. These Northeast Corridor representatives could also influence recent oversight efforts we've been seeing from Republican leadership on the T&I committee. If the GOP does win and control the House, the red surge in the New York Metro could be a windfall for Amtrak, which has seen some of its strongest GOP support come from Republicans representing the Northeast Corridor districts. Okay, so this is what we're seeing again. It's really less to do with whether someone's Republican or Democrat, right? Because Amtrak itself has even had Republican leadership. What was his name? Gunn, who was he was pretty good for Amtrak. He was the head of the MTA back in the 80s. He fixed up the subway for a little bit until once he left control, the subway started to fall apart again. But he became part of Amtrak and was able to fix it up for a bit. But again, a lot of those people were more fiscally conservative, and he even said, look, as someone who's fiscally conservative, it's not fair when you start going ahead and taking taxpayer money over to into roadways and other sort of infrastructure. It's not a fair game. So a lot of people know, and again, it has more to do with you live towards a place that needs better infrastructure, and it usually tends to be a younger crowd. Not always, but it usually tends to be. All right, and back on the chat, back here we have our co-host from Belgium. It is Ruben back again. Hello, Ruben. You are on. Just make yourself known. Say hello to everybody.
Hey guys, can everyone hear me pretty well?
I think we can. Man.
Demetrius, can you?
I can hear you loud.
All
and
right,
clear.
that's pretty.
No problems this time.
Pretty good to hear. All right, so I'm live from the. I'm a volunteer at the train museum, so now live from the train museum. Pretty short, hop in, hop out, but it's pretty interesting to talk about the elections because I followed them from over here in Belgium, which meant an entire night of not sleeping at all. But hey, guys. I missed you all, so I'm glad to finally be on again after all that long time.
I'm glad you're back too, and I will be drinking to your return here. I got myself a porter, the last of the Great Lakes Brewing, Edmund Fitzgerald over here. So there we go. That was perfect. There we go. Look at that. Perfect. Got the phone right to the top. All right. So cheers. Welcome back, Ruben, our friend from Belgium, our engineer. Yeah. Back at it again.
Yeah, I mean, my goal was actually normally I should have been right now in South Carolina, but you know about the U.S. embassies and all stuff like that. But but still, it's always nice to be back online and to talk about elections because, as you said, you have a pretty big difference between old Republicans and new Republicans. So either way, whatever this election has taught us, that either way, I looked at different campaigns. But one theme was pretty common, that is that all parties want better, much better transportation.
Yeah, and I think it's something that we can all agree on. We've seen mostly across the board. We've seen mostly approvals in most places. So it's not bad to see. And I think, again, like places like in Florida, you see taxes of... Why would anybody want to approve a tax on themselves, right? Unless you live in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. But even Sacramento, it still looks like it's going to be a no there because, people don't like being taxed. But at least in places like Florida, even though you see these rejections for sales taxes, you see places like, you see projects like Brightline moving forward and, looking to open up between Miami and Orlando very, very soon. So it doesn't mean that, all this can just end over here. So we're looking, let me see, there was another article over here. This is from Street Blogs. Thursday's headlines get results. So there's, again, more. It's another article over here talking about that. Here's this. By a 19-point margin, Orange County, Florida voters rejected a penny sales tax for transportation. If you can see, most of Florida has gone more or less completely red. I mean, even Miami-Dade County, which is the largest county, the most populous county in Florida, to go red. For Ron DeSantis to win by that large of a margin, I mean, Florida is now more red than New York. And I think what we're seeing here, especially in the United States, and I think this is we're really seeing why this regional sort of look to things is going to bear more fruit, is that we're seeing a lot of shift in people moving around the country. We're seeing people who want more conservative leadership now flocking to Florida. Now, I was wrong about this because I thought it was just going to be a whole bunch of people from New York and California or other places that are going to be more left leaning and going over there. Now, whether I don't think there was much in Florida that could really sway that either way. But I mean, this is just insane to be close to 60% for the Republican candidate. But regardless, you're going to see different types of projects go for different types of places. And we even have in Ohio now this sort of project, the Amtrak Midwest plan, the 3Cs, which stand for Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, yeah.
Right. So this is part of the infrastructure plan, and it's starting to pick up heat as well. As of recently. So there's more news that's been going around about the 3C plus D, linking Columbus to Cincinnati, Cleveland, Dayton, Ohio, with a possible connection to John Glenn International Airport. I think stuff like this is what's going to do better than massive plans, 30-year plans or whatever that just going to show up to being nothing again. Because it's just a big plan, but there's no action toward it. There's no small incremental results that can be completed in a reasonable amount of time. So something like this is what we're going to see. And at this point, even Ohio is comfortably red at this point. Ohio used to be a swing state. Ohio has also gone pretty red as well. So it's going to be... We're going to be seeing this stuff, and especially as the younger generation starts to get more and more into power, if it ever happens, because you never know. The older politicians, are trying to figure out, because you have people like what's his face, Jared Kushner, saying that they're going to be the first generation that they can live forever, or extend themselves 100 years. So you never know if Nancy Pelosi is going to be there, in the Senate. I'm sorry, in the House, in 202 years old or something like that. But regardless,
as long as no male prostitutes,
you never know. But here's the thing: again, we're seeing these more regional plans starting to shape up and starting to gain more traction here. Ruben, where do you think this is going?
Well, I would say you have two different ways to look at it, but when it comes to regional plans, I always think it's much better to plan for a 79 miles an hour train that it's going to run on current track conditions, like the CCD. It's going to run because the track conditions already warrant it. It already says, okay, you can run it. If you would imagine, if the CCD would have been at a 220 miles plus an hour train line, it would have meant so much more investments. But if you would say like, hey, let's go for a very reliable 79 miles an hour reliable service, it's much more doable. And I look at different regional systems, and what I'm gonna see is that actually this is a prediction I'm gonna make is that for now the long distance trains of Amtrak are like a connection between east and west, and the middle country in between. But you have so much regional project that a long distance trains are going to connect every small regional connection between each other. So that's going to mean that on long term, I'm going to say short term to middle long term, these long distance trains are going to be so much more useful as a connection between different states and different regional connections. And Ohio, people are going to say like, what is going on with you, Ruben? But I believe Ohio is one of those states that's so much more possibilities. Imagine a Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, Cleveland connection, then a Cleveland, Toledo, Detroit connection. Just those two lines are gonna make such a big difference for that state. Think about it. Cleveland has its own metro system already, and it's basically electrified train system. So I'm looking at the United States, and not to say which party I favor. Maybe if you're good at detecting, you can say which party I favor. But looking at the results and looking at the people who have favored a infrastructural investment, I'm gonna say that this house is gonna be in favor of transportation. Looking at this Senate, the new swing state is Georgia, which is pretty much a fact by now. I'm still gonna believe that transportation is gonna be a common cause. In the past few years since Biden got elected, you have seen that transportation became a common cause. So I think the battlegrounds are for something completely different, but transportation is something that's gonna be way way more bipartisan. So if you're gonna ask me what I think of it, I'm gonna be quite hopeful in the future and now. Wait, is this a cue? I'm gonna talk more or not? I don't know, but I'm quite hopeful when it comes to it. Like the transportation, like I'm very very hopeful to it. It's like it's looking good. It's like it's looking pretty good. It's so much better than 10 years ago. Could you imagine 10 years ago from now?
I think I've been talking by myself the whole entire time. I've been saying something, and then all of a sudden my mic muted. I'm sorry, guys, but oh man, voice went out. Anyway, and I was going good. I was going pretty good over there, but all right. Let me try to begin from again. It is helping that we are seeing now a more a federal Congress that is getting better or more supportive to this, right? But what we're seeing now is we're seeing a much bigger support from regional levels. Because back then, as Ruben was saying, 10 years ago, this would not have been possible, right? Back then, to think that something like this would have just stayed on a PDF, be a $40 high speed rail study, and never see the light of day again. But what we're seeing now, and what it used to be, like 10 years ago, you had the Obama high speed rail plan. It was basically a federal push down to the state level or to the local level and say, here, this is a plan that we have for you. You're going to take this plan. You're going to take this money. And most states said no. The only state that said yes was California, and we're still seeing California construction. Meanwhile, states that said no, or let's say Florida, at least for the example of Florida, right? And maybe these projects were going to be more ambitious. They were going to have faster trains, true high-speed rail, 186 mile an hour, 300 kilometer an hour trains, and they were going to have full service, and they were going to be completely electrified and full grade separation. But at the rate things were going, at the rate politics were, that wasn't feasible. And what, for example, the example that Brightline brought about, and yeah, I get there's just people still complaining, which, how can you be complaining about Brightline, honestly, at this point, really? But anyway, and I know that there's some people like that, because you can look at the comments from the last short that we put out about Brightline, of how fast it was, making the crossing within 5.42 seconds. I mean, come on, that's pretty crazy. But the thing is that, yes, Brightline could have gone ahead and talked about a plan that was going to be full electrification, 200-mile-an-hour trains, etc. But that would not have been feasible. I mean, could it be possible? Yeah, absolutely, but not with the current way business and politics are done in the United States. 100 years ago, sure, that would have been done. I mean, look, Florida built the overseas railroad and got infrastructure all the way down to Key West. That would have been possible back then with the different American population that we had. Because if you look at just Americans back then, honestly, Americans had more cojones back then than they do now, okay? But this is the thing. At least with Florida, what they did, they adapted to the times. They were able to go ahead and get a project done and get it done correctly, okay? And that's why now you're seeing a lot of different states starting to do their own sort of regional transportation. Now look at Ohio. Ohio is going to try to go ahead and push this. And what we're seeing over here, why it matters, this broad bipartisan support for Ohio Amtrak expansion at the local level could pressure state officials who have mostly stayed mum on the topic. So instead of having a federal push downward, the way we're seeing things work out and absolutely being successful is a push from the local level upward. That's what's working. But anyway, here's the meme that we had from one of the shorts that came out, so you guys can see. Here we are. This is a short on YouTube Shorts.
Hey, hey, hey. Reconnect!
That's basically more or less what we see. The Democrats go ahead and push a whole lot and say a whole lot, but then when push comes to shove, nothing really happens, right? But then, when we see the Republicans most of the time, before an election, nothing. After an election, basically nothing. But that's what we're seeing. All right, I think that's enough on talking about the election. We've gone on for like 30 minutes talking about that. We'll go ahead onto our next section over here. Outside of the United States, we're seeing countries like Egypt now talking about high-speed rail. Isn't that crazy now? Egypt to be going and pushing for a high-speed rail network. And they awarded Deutsche Bahn a contract to operate the country's high-speed rail network once it is in operation. Egypt has an ambitious plan for modernizing their rail system, with the plan to construct over 1,200 miles of track that will connect major cities throughout the country. This would make it the sixth largest high-speed rail network in the world. And this is something that probably would happen pretty quickly with there's a lot of investment going on in Africa. Some of it's shady, especially with a lot of the Chinese rail investments. But we see something like this that could happen. So the first segment from Ain Sakna to Marsa Matru, I'm not familiar with any of those names. But going from here, and like major cities like Alexandria and Cairo are going to be around there. So it looks like you're going to see something like this. So the first segment will be 2027, and this is possible. Like we saw what happened in Saudi Arabia with the Spanish development of their high-speed rail system down in Saudi Arabia. They got built pretty quickly. So I think something like this for Egypt could be very feasible. It could be built pretty quickly. It's not a massive amount of topography that they have to tackle. And even in places like in California, where they're building in the Central Valley, they're not going against hard terrain over there. They're not going through mountains or anything. It's the Central Valley. It's pretty flat in that area compared to the rest of California. But this is something that could be seen here. And look, if I won't doubt it that they'll get it built over here. I really don't. Especially with Deutsche Bahn at the helm. they're pretty serious when they go ahead and operate these local projects or these international projects. So I do think this is something that could very much happen, especially with now Egypt being the host of that very kind of weird climate conference that they've been going on over there, over in Egypt. So I could see
yeah, it's pretty weird.
Yeah, I could see something like this, happening pretty quickly. But, who knows? So that's one thing going on over there. Speaking of, guys, when it comes to funding and stuff over here in the United States, we've seen how Texas has been very mum, and they've taken their time to go ahead and wait for Texas Central Railway right when they're at the worst time to go ahead and then approve it after having it there within legislation, within legal limbo and hell for God knows how long. But look how quickly after the election a federal judge in Texas was able to go ahead and cut out the student loans. So for those of you thinking that you were gonna go ahead and vote and make this happen, that they're gonna get the loan bailout, which at this point who cares if you're gonna even pay it off at this point? I don't care. They're gonna come over and take the money from me. Okay, I don't have really anything to give to them, so they can go print some more. But anyway, look at how quickly it was. How quickly they've been able to go ahead and shut down the student loan bailout program, right? So it's just pretty crazy. When it comes to this, they'll go ahead and stop it. But when it comes to sending money over to a certain country in Eastern Europe or a certain other country to give them trillions of dollars, unanimous support for it, right? But to go ahead and to fund, let's say, your kids' futures here or anything like that, nah, let's go ahead and do that. And look, I'm pretty fiscally conservative myself, but I do think these loans were very predatory loans. I mean, you think an 18-year-old is going to, after being told by the whole entire system they have to go ahead and get these loans or they're going to be on the street? It's kind of silly. But anyway, all right, let's moving on to the next thing. So this is kind of funny. You guys are gonna like this. Let's talk about what's going on with Ford. The Ford Motor Company has lost $3.1 billion. I'm sorry, that was the first quarter. In the third quarter, they lost a good amount of money as well. What happened to this? That's the wrong article. Here we are. I think we got the right article here. Good thing I read that before embarrassing myself yet again with having the microphone off for like 2 minutes and just talking to nobody for half the time. But here we go. So Ford reveals a third quarter net loss weighed down by supply chain problems and Argo AI investment. For those of you guys, I was going to talk about this before, but for those of you guys, we talked about autonomous driving before and how it's basically going to be an absolute failure. Because why would you go ahead and fund investment into autonomous cars when it's still proven, through research that having more cars on the road still creates more traffic, even if you have an AI. In fact, it's just going to create more traffic because you still have one person per 5-seat automobile going ahead and driving autonomously rather than funding transit within urban communities, having, clean, convenient, reliable transit like we've had for the last 150 years. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But this is the kind of silliness that a lot of companies now have tried investing in, and it found out that it's just not going to work. It's not working, and they've been dumping a whole bunch of money into this. So again, the key points here: Ford recorded a net loss of $827 million during the third quarter. That's on top of the first quarter loss of $3.2 billion. Imagine how it is to be at Ford right now. The automaker narrowly beat Wall Street's subdued expectations for the period. It guided to the lowest end of the previous forecast earnings for the year. Ford attributed the lower than expected results to part shortages. Again, this is all part of the result of having a broken infrastructure, okay? Because we've put so much into the automobile and have invested so much into car infrastructure, our rail infrastructure has been starting to fall. Freight rail infrastructure has been starting to fall behind. It's going to be a matter. It's a matter of when now at this point, and we'll talk about the rail strike coming up. That's also going to be another article we're talking about. But at the rate the infrastructure, the current freight rail infrastructure is being bombarded and being abused at this point, because of the implementations and the programs that the freight railroad companies have put forward, it's going to become an even bigger disaster now with the diesel shortage, etc. After the election, now is when this fun's going to start. Okay, I'm glad the election is done and over with. We don't have to talk about the election anymore. Now we can get back to the stuff over here. So things have been, at least for our things, we've been pretty good when it's come to timing. But let's talk a little bit about Argo over here. So, again, Argo is this artificial intelligence, AI, self-driving, capable company. So, autonomous driving, whatever names they want to give it, right? It's all the same BS, right? So they're shutting down. They've gone bankrupt, and a lot of their research and development, their R&D is going over to Ford and Volkswagen because both those companies had both invested heavily into Argo, thinking this is going to be the next big thing. Which it's kind of silly because the thing is that a lot of these AI self-driving startups have a massive amount of infrastructure on top of their vehicles. The full 360-degree cameras, all of that, and something like a Tesla, which accomplishes about 95% of the capability of this. Is they don't even have that. They just have certain cameras and their own sort of AI. And we'll talk about Elon Musk in a bit, the king of Twitter now, as he is. But here's the thing, it's not the infrastructure, not the infrastructure, but the technology. Even for as much money that you put into the technology, it still doesn't work to the degree that you want it to. It still doesn't solve the issue. And not only that, with the amount of people using rideshare or Uber or Lyft or all those other companies, you're not going to see a big shift to people wanting to have self-drivers pick them up or whatever, especially when there's a large amount of people in the gig economy that basically rely on Uber and Lyft income as their main source of income, even though it's getting worse and worse to be an Uber or Lyft driver with the now increasing gas, which it went down a little bit, but it was already higher than it was before. So it's like going up like this, and it's like, oh look, it's low gas now. You see, you just got a little bit of a drop, and then just whoop, go. It's starting to go right back up again. It's getting expensive to drive out there, guys. So here we are. So the decision is being seen tied to growing losses for its two main automotive backers at a precarious time in the industry, collectively amounting to billions, as well as persisting uncertainty regarding the timeline for the commercial arrival of Level 4 technology. And again, Level 4 technology is the full self-driving autonomous technology that they've been talking about and pushing, that you don't even have to touch the wheel, because there's different levels of driving, right? Like Level 1 driving is having cruise control on, is controlling one function, which I use cruise control all the time. I don't know why people don't use it. It's there. It keeps your feet, it lets you relax your feet a bit, keeps you more focused on the road, and saves you a lot of gas so you're not throttling up and down and just keep everybody moving. But hey, honestly, there needs to be less people on the road. But anyway, so because they haven't been able to get to that technology, they haven't been able to go ahead and deliver on the promise. So they have all this spending, all this research that they've been doing, no product, so no money. They've just been losing money. And the other reason that Ford has also lost a lot of money too is because they put a lot of money into Rivian as well, which for those of you who don't know, Rivian is another electric car company for an electric truck. But the problem with Rivian is that I've only seen, and I'll say this, I've only seen one Rivian truck ever, and I actually took a picture of it. Let me see if I can find it over here on my phone. But you see Teslas all over the place. By far, Tesla has already won the automobile market, the electric automobile market. They're the first mover advantage. Not only the first mover advantage, but they basically got that pat down. But the other issue is that the other car companies or the other electric car companies, if any other of the big three makes an electric car, it doesn't match up. It's over expensive. It doesn't have nearly the amount of range. It doesn't look as good. It's kind of a waste of time and money and all that sort of stuff that people say, why don't I just go with a Tesla? Especially the biggest part of Tesla, the reason why they're doing so well is because they have their network of chargers all over the place. And that's been the big thing for them. While the big three are asking the Biden administration to pay them billions of dollars to go ahead and for the government to build the infrastructure for them, Tesla has just done it themselves. And I'll give credit where credit is due. They did pay back all the loans, whereas General Motors has never and will never pay back the auto bailout loans from 2008. By the way, here's the Rivian I saw. This is on the 465 north here in Indianapolis. So there we go. We spotted one. A Rivian in the wild. The only one that I've ever seen. That's it. There you go. That's it. There you go. So Ford invested billions of dollars so I could just see one of them on the road. Where I see every day I see at least 2 or 3 Teslas, even here in Indianapolis. So it's kind of silly, right? And here's the bad thing about what's going on with Argo, because, and again, it's been hard for a lot of, especially millennials, to get a job and to be able to keep a job. But for the guys who have worked for this, they're not doing good. They got laid off. 79 Miami employees have been laid off. So this is the problem when we start investing into technology that's basically a massive red herring. There's no need for it, right? If you can invest that same amount of money into transit, you will move a lot more people. It will be a lot more productive, a lot more consistent. It's just a better bang for your buck, to put quite simply. But this sort of silliness is costing people, their own lives, because the owners of Argo, the ones who have invested billions of dollars, not the ones who've gotten the big amounts of investment, right? They're perfectly fine off. They've already made connections and whatnot. This is why this whole thing that you can be, it's very easy to to make $1 million in this country or anything like that. It's kind of BS, because it's when you get to that point and when you get to that level of making $1 billion, why somebody like Donald Trump can go ahead and go into bankruptcy and then go again to making billions of dollars, because he's already has made that connection. It's not like he loses all those connections, or anybody who loses billions of dollars, right? And we'll talk about somebody who's lost billions of dollars as well. I don't know. I'm seeing here, and also another thing in Miami, a certain stadium is rechanging their name because of a certain crypto exchange. We'll go into that a little bit. But this is just, it's silly when we, start investing into silly projects like this, because it costs people their livelihoods and whatever they were making because of this silliness. So instead of, and I'm pretty sure most of a majority of these 79 employees were mostly either Gen Xers, mostly probably millennials, and maybe some Gen Zers. It's the younger people who are suffering for this. And then we're seeing, things like Lyft. Lyft lost a lot of money from this silly shutdown, for this silly project, for this silly technology that there's really no need for. It's not that there's no need for it, but the thing is that it works in certain capacities. But the problem is that instead of going ahead and spending money on transit, a lot of these municipalities and these transit commissions will go ahead and gladly, spend millions of dollars of taxpayer money onto funding these red herrings. And we've seen this in a whole bunch of different municipalities, like places like in Pittsburgh, places like in Miami as well. San Francisco has spent a good chunk of their own public money into this as well. So yeah, this is the sort of silliness we're seeing. But we know the thing is that a lot of these red herring technologies have been poking at the real solutions for rail transit, like we talked about before. Elon Musk, and this was in an earlier stream that we talked about earlier in the year. Elon Musk basically admitted that the reason they pushed the hyperloop was just to go ahead and destroy the California high-speed rail project so he can push his own projects. He knew the hyperloop was basically not going to really work It was just a way to go ahead and distract people away from the California high-speed rail, get that project done, and then force his own self-driving car solution, I guess, because the hyperloop wasn't really going to work. So here again, let's quote this. Elon Musk admitted to his biographer that the reason the hyperloop was announced, even though he had no intention of pursuing it, was to try to disrupt the California high-speed rail project to get in the way of that actually succeeding. And we know he had a thing against the California high-speed rail project. In his alpha document with the hyperloop, he mentioned it on the second page that he did not like the way the California... And look, I understand. The California high-speed rail project is spending a massive amount of money, more than any other high-speed rail project is going to cost per mile in the entire planet. And it's probably not going to be as well, and it's taking a long time. It should have been built already. It absolutely should have been built already. But you have the incompetence of California, plus the massive ego of the edgy centrist Mr. King Musk over here. You know, and that's the thing. And the thing is that, you know, why a lot of people don't like Musk is that he's very unpredictable. That's I've said this before. He's neither right-wing or left-wing. So anybody saying that he's, basically, a right-wing jackboot is absolutely silly and out of their mind. Anybody saying that he's some sort of leftist, I kind of get it, but no, he's not. He's an edgy centrist. He's the guy in the meme with the flame jacket and the sunglasses like that, going like, hey, you can't stop me because I'm actually a centrist. He's the same guy that literally went on Halloween in some sort of satanic samurai costume. Okay, so he's not based in Shrad, red pilled anything like that. Give me a break. All right, he's just an edgy centrist. All right, but we know again, and he's been pulling back on the hyperloop, the whole little the tunnel. The tunnel's gone. The little tunnel where they had the little sleds going along, blowing up inside the tunnel. It's gone. The little thing is gone, and he was promising they were going to make a big the next year's competition in 2019 or 2020 or whatever. It's going to have it's going to be several kilometers long and it's going to have a curve. None of that happened. So the tube is gone. The tube is gone. The hype tube, the loop-de-tube, the hyper poop is gone. Scoopity poop, as the song goes. It's gone. And look what they've made. They've made it a parking lot. It's a parking lot for SpaceX now. So there we go. Musk said he said he could change the way most people got around, even reducing the travel time between San Francisco and Los Angeles to 30 minutes. The Hawthorne Tunnel was meant to serve as a demonstration of Musk's vision, but now they removed it and put up a parking lot. Isn't that funny? Precision Construction Services is one of the contractors that installed the prototype tube, and earlier this year the company owner Eric Wright was informed that it would be torn down. Bloomberg also viewed the site and reported that no trace of the Hyperloop tube remained. There's assumingly the underground test tunnel that must debut in 2018 still remains. This was back in 2019. He said that 2020, next year's Hyperloop competition will be in a 10-kilometer vacuum tube with a curb. Didn't happen. Now, maybe was that because of the the coup? Maybe. I don't think so. It probably wasn't going to go anywhere anyway. I don't know. Maybe it was. I don't know. Hindsight is 2020 over here, right? Maybe it was the coup that had killed the Hyperloop, because the Hyperloop is at this point it's on its death throes. I told you it was going to die, and good. It's dying in a pretty embarrassing way. More embarrassing than I thought it was going to be. I thought maybe they'll make a Hyperloop project. It will maybe take a couple people, have some sort of silly accident or something like that. Yeah, I'm being really cruel about this. Have some silly accident and then shut down and never be talked about again. But it looks like it's not even going to get on. Musk's Hyperloop ambitions have been severely scaled back. His original proposal for an underground transit system with magnetically levitating shuttles traveling through nearly airless tubes at speeds of up to 100 miles an hour. Well, he wanted to do it at Mach 1, not Mach 1. Maglev pods at near zero pressure. Has been replaced with tunnels that can only accommodate Tesla vehicles. So this all turned into be a boring project sort of push. so we could have the silly tunnel over in Las Vegas, you know. And the tunnel in Las Vegas is actually slower than driving between the two distances. You know, it's just so stupid. Other Hyperloop startups have shut down or pivoted toward cargo shipments. So, and that's not even going to go, because you're not going to have, you know, cargo companies may spend a little bit of money here and there. When not even a little bit of money, I mean a couple of $1 million of investment, right? To go ahead, see where it goes, let it shut down, and then go ahead and vulture off the pickings of the technology. Most likely maglev technology. That's what they'll probably use, and use it in small little applications within, let's say, for ports or something like that. Like, instead of going ahead and having it on trucks and then, you know, moving those trucks onto rail, probably instead they'll have the crane operators go ahead and move these things into, you know, little mini pods or trains on this sort of like miniature hyperloop, and then have that shuttled off into a larger area to a rail yard, and then have it put on the rail yard without all the space being taken up at the port. Who knows? But it's not going anywhere. Meanwhile, Musk's Boring Company has been working to build out a system of tunnels underneath Las Vegas for a few years now, while the company's effort to dig in other cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, and the Northeast Corridor have fizzled. So there we go. The end of the Hyperloop. Let's put it out. It's the end. The end of that. The end. Or the beginning of something that's really going to be happening. So we're talking about these. So, and again, this is just a random article that I've found about over here. But there's going to be a lot of talk about this the rail strike that is going on right now. For now, the rail strike has been pushed. It's the inevitable has been delayed. Instead of November the 22nd, it's going to be now December the 4th. So for those of you who don't know, because of what's been going on with the freight railroad companies for the last couple of years, in terms of precision scheduled railroading, or PSR, and PSR again is they're trying to find ways to cut as many corners as possible. That's basically what they're doing. Cut as many corners as possible when it comes to freight railroads in order to go ahead and make more of a profit, right? So if they need to get, instead of 2-man crews, they have 1-man crews, they'll go ahead and do it. That's what they want to try to do. If they want to just keep using the same equipment over and over until it breaks down without going ahead and maintaining it so they can save money, they'll go ahead and do that. And they'll just run everything basically to the ground. That's kind of what PSR has turned out to be, right? So because of years of that, the Brotherhood of Maintenance and Ways Employees Division, or you know the union, the railroad union, have been getting more and more upset, and they're demanding that this stop. All right, so they want to have an agreement in order to go ahead, change the way they're getting treated, and make this better. And they're taking it to a national level, and they're threatening to strike, which for you know, a lot of our infrastructure, a lot of our goods travel through rail before they get on trucks. Okay, a lot of diesel still goes through rail. So if we're losing diesel already, right, and now there's going to be on top of that shortage of diesel, for diesel to be delivered. Not only that, for jet fuel. Here we go. This is the thing, because the whole spine of the infrastructure is very much dependent on the railroads. Okay, because the railroads, you can move the most amount of tonnage with the least amount of effort. So all of that fuel going all over the place is going to mostly travel through rail first, and because we don't have as you know, as much of the pipeline infrastructure as people wished for now with the death of the Keystone XL pipeline, and all that sort of stuff, a lot of that still travels through rail. So now if you don't have jet fuel coming into airports, you don't have diesel coming into truck depots, now that's going to cause even more supply chain issues, okay? Because the railroad companies should not have done this. And now they've ticked off the workers, and rightfully so. And it's going to, this is the problem, it's going to be inevitable. They're going to strike at some point. And if it wasn't, you know, before, because they did not want it to happen before the elections. Okay, because if they certainly got a forward election, it probably would have been a little bit more of a red tide, maybe a red sprinkle, right? The GOP, had a little red sprinkle. They drank a little bit too much Coke, right? But at this point, they're trying to pass it through the holidays because they know it's going to be even worse. So we're gonna see this going on. So they're still continuing to negotiate. The strike would debilitate U.S. supply chains while also disrupting passenger services just before the critical Christmas and Thanksgiving holiday season. Both sides have agreed to renegotiate, and work is scheduled to continue as normal until at least November 19th, 5 days after Congress reconvenes. So here's the thing. The deal brokered by the Biden administration contained a 24% raise, annual bonuses, and healthcare benefits. And is a great deal for both sides, in my view, said the president at that time. Probably not as lucid as I just said that right now, and not as clear, but we know. Poor Biden, right? Referring to the workers and railway companies. To the American people, this agreement can avert the significant damage that any shutdown would have brought. Our nation's rail system is the backbone of our supply chain, Biden said. Everything from clean water to food to gas to everyday, liquefied... the way he talks is just absolutely off the rocker right now. I've already said it enough. Yeah, everything goes through rail, right? So there was a tentative deal that was reached on September 15th following a 20-hour marathon of negotiations which involved U.S. Labor Secretary Marty Walsh and the president. Workers were poised to gain an average payment of $11,000 if the deal was ratified, along with the annual cash bonus of $1,000. However, difficult work conditions due to staffing shortages are the main reason for the agreement falling through. Staff are often required to report 7 days a week and report to work on short notice. And why? Because they've been burning out workers because of precision scheduled railroading. This is something that has been years in the making. This doesn't just pop out of nowhere. Okay? You see the cracks starting to form years before. The reason why we're in this infrastructure mess that we're in now is because of all the damage that has been put upon this country for decades, starting within the post-war. We've seen this going on. But as for so far, it's they're extending the deadline so from November the 20th to December the 4th. They moved the end of the cooling off period that includes talks with freight railroad management to that time. Allows the unions to ultimately align their strategy ahead of a potential strike. So we're seeing something going to happen. I don't think there's going to be much of I think there probably it's going to be pushed off one more time. Probably past the holidays. But I don't think this is going to stop. This is funny. Wait. We gotta show this this comment right here from this silly retard over here. Let me just show this. Oh man, go ahead, try it. We'll put in some holes into you too. Look at this guy. Put him in the shame. We're gonna shame him here. Let's shame bully this this retard over here. Look at this. Everybody, just go ahead and beat him up and shame him. That's how we're gonna have to start doing things, right? I'm just gonna be the union boss of this here. I'm old school. I don't care. You want to go ahead and say stuff about that? Go ahead. Give it a try. Doubt it. By the way, definitely in the wrong state here, buddy. I don't even live with her. But anyway. Here we are. Hey, at this point, you're going to lose your job at this point, right? So, who cares? With the way things are going. But yeah, this is what's going on so far, guys. It's just been getting pretty crazy with what's going on with the unions and everything like that. It's so here we go. The unions strongly disagree with the railroad's action to wind down operations prior to any potential strike, saying that these actions would be a premature exercise of self-help by the railroads and a violation of their common carrier obligations to provide services to the customers, right? So, this is just it's getting pretty crazy. So we got to be careful with this. And again, I've been saying, make sure you got enough food in there, because make sure you got enough stuff. Make sure you know how to be able to, defend yourself, grow your own stuff if you need to, because you're going to have to start depending more on your local community, right? This whole entire infrastructure that we built on built on a sort of globalist economy to try to go ahead and get stuff over from, all the way across the United States or to another complete different area of the world and bring it over here. It hasn't been working. It's starting to fall apart in less than 100 years. But that's where we're at. And we're seeing more of a locality push, right? Like we're seeing in some states, like in Illinois over here. Did you know that there are some counties in Illinois, and it's not just in Illinois, also in Oregon and in Washington State, there are counties over there that are trying to secede from the states of Washington and Oregon to merge with Idaho and make into Greater Idaho, right? It's just insane what's going on because of this. So because of the fact that we said before, the country is starting to go on much more separated ideological bounds. We're starting to see local counties getting ticked off. Because, look, if you live in a place like here, like in Edgar County, Clark County, Crawford County, like, next to Crawfordsville, Lawrence County, Wabash County, these are basically extensions of Indiana over here in Illinois. If you ever driven through Illinois, it looks basically more or less, Southern Illinois is more or less the same like Indiana. So they're kind of sick and tired of being told by Clark County what to do. Not Clark County. You know what I'm saying? The county where Chicago is based in, right? They're getting ticked off. This is the problem, okay? So with this sort of crap going on between the larger, more liberal capitals of states and other places within the country, you're going to see a separation of states. You're going to see this sort of stuff. It's going to happen, right? It's going to happen within our lifetime at this point. And it's better that it happens sooner rather than later, because the later that this takes, the more, I would say, violent it's going to get, and it's going to be a lot harder to really make things easier. So, just to finish off, speaking of spending, speaking of lots of money and everything going on, Sam Bankman. If you put your money with a guy that looks like this and his middle name is literally Bankman, you deserve your money to be lost, man. Sam Bankman-Fried. It was a money laundering scheme. So for those of you that don't know, you've probably been hearing about a certain cryptocurrency exchange called FTX. What happened to FTX? FTX was basically doing a Ponzi scheme. You weren't really going ahead and paying for Bitcoin. You weren't receiving Bitcoin. It's an exchange. So any exchange that you go ahead and put and buy cryptocurrency, any cryptocurrency that you buy, it's an IOU basically, right? So they took the money and they started making a Ponzi schemes, going ahead and through money laundering, and it became sort of a way to go ahead and fund the Democratic Party too, because he was the second biggest Democratic donor in the midterm elections after George Soros, the ghoul George Soros. Lot of names there. A lot Soros, Friedman, Bankman, But anyway, and this is again, this is sort of the issue. Will this guy get will he pay the price for it? No. You know why? Because he's going off to Argentina. He's off to Argentina. He's gone. He ain't gonna pay the price. This is the problem in this country now anymore. We don't go ahead and round up these people. Instead of going ahead and making sure that a lot of this stuff were to be stopped, let me go ahead and just kick you out. This is my club, buddy. Get out. Let's go ahead and kick this guy out. He's gone. Bye. Thanks for the subscribe though, because I made it now. You can't chat in here unless you're subscribed. So thanks for the subscription, even though if you go ahead and take it off, I don't care. Come at me, man. But anyway, this is the type of stuff that's the problem in this country, is that a lot of these people go ahead, take advantage of the economy, take advantage of people's money, and run off with it. Instead of going ahead and having local communities to be able to take whatever money they have and fund it into that, we got this sort of stuff happening. Okay? So we got to get rid of this. But anyway, it's not like this is the first time this has happened, right? Like we've mentioned before, talking about the hyperloop and Theranos, putting this all together. It's not the first time that the establishment has gone ahead and put billions, I'm not talking about millions, I'm talking about billions of dollars into funding something that was absolutely going to go nowhere, or turned out to be some sort of Ponzi scheme or some sort of egoist trip and turned out to be absolutely nothing. It's criminal. It's criminal, guys. But look, at least with what's going on with the election, at least what's going on with this younger generation, we're going to see more things. Yeah, it's greed. Exactly, Cookie. It's exactly what it is. And greed is not. Greed is good to a point. You know, don't go all Gordon Gekko and say greed is good. You gotta be careful over here. It's good to if you want to be greedy for life to one extent, but to a point you have to regulate yourself. And the problem is that we have a lot of greedy people that they can get a lot of power, and they have a lot of connections. Okay, this is the problem. We're not running with connections over here. We're I have some connections or anything like that, but that's not enough. You have to have both connections and access to capital in order to really make these things happen. But that's where we're at, guys. So again, be careful. Don't be taken in by these these people with sanpaku eyes, these crazy eyes. You know, don't be taken in by them. Be careful. Watch yourself out there. And get more cozy with your local community, because we got a lot of stuff ahead of us. And this is why I said we got to get more involved in there. And it seems like things are starting to happen. Things are starting to get there. But we'll see. Anyway, it's now time to go ahead and take in some callers. We have David Mitchell in the audience. And of course, our very own David Mitchell coming in, invited to speak. Again, everybody keep it to 5 minutes. All right? Welcome aboard, David.
Welcome back,
How's it going, man?
Hey, doing good. Me and Val, 2-year anniversary in 10 days.
All right, happy early anniversary, man.
But don't forget that I was one who called it out with Elon Musk and the hyperloop. You remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
I was one who brought it up in one of your previous live stream when I told you about Elon Musk. We did hyperloop as vaporware on purpose to make transit look bad. With, I'll be honest, that is super villain-like right there. It really is. Because you'll be forcing everybody else into what you want them to be, Am I right about that? Like, giving them less options, like forcing them into cars and stuff, it did pretty bad. But yeah. Also, I'll be honest, did you watch Alan Fister's video, the one that I told you about? Oh, 1 minute. I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me?
1 minute. Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. No, I haven't watched it yet.
But I'll be honest, Elon Musk is super villain at this point, if you think about it.
I don't think he's super villain. I think he's just, somebody who's gotten a lot of power and money, who's just kind of pushing out for his own village. He's just, a neutral, chaotic neutral. That's basically what he's playing at.
Now, it might sound crazy. Now that he owns Twitter, I bet he's going to go after every transit supporting Twitter account out there.
I don't think so. Honestly, I think it's going to be more or less the same. It's just going to be more or less the same from Twitter. Because look, they put out their new terms of service, and I don't use Twitter. I may get somebody to go ahead and run the Twitter handle for the club and make that a little easier. I don't know. Maybe we'll get some stuff from there. But I honestly think more focus on the YouTube channel is what it is, because this is what's made the channel what it is. It's the focus that we've done on YouTube. With all the stuff of YouTube, it still has been the best platform for us to push our message. But I
I
don't.
have to agree. Also,
Go ahead.
I also do want to bring up that there is a lot of crazy stuff going on with Twitter right now. Ever since they did that, oh my god, people with fake accounts are coming up with memes and stuff. Like literally, it hilarious.
Yeah, that was. I would say the funniest one has been the impersonator for Eli. Especially if you can get now, you can get your verification for $8, right? It's not stopping people from go. Like the people who are now. Somebody made a fake Biden account, and the thing is with the verification, the little Twitter verification next to it, and you copied the same bio and everything, it can very much look like that. But the funniest one, which has done actual damage, which I you know what, I don't care because I don't like this company, and good that they got it. So somebody impersonated Eli Lilly, which is a locally based company over here. They make pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. And like most big pharma companies, they're pretty villainous themselves. But anyway, somebody went ahead and made a fake Eli Lilly account and said insulin is now free. And the stock price of Eli Lilly actually dropped a pretty big amount. And it actually hurt the company's finances. So if somebody, this is some guy who, probably, went on his phone. Like he's got like a Samsung Galaxy with like a cracked screen or something like that. Goes ahead and makes a fake Eli Lilly account, copies everything like that, and just says insulin is free, and more or less tanks their stock. So this is 5th generation warfare at its finest.
Yeah, that's what they get for what happened to Holly. They revenge for Holly right here.
For what?
Never forget her.
Yeah.
Revenge for Holly.
Good. Yeah. Exactly.
Never forget her.
Exactly. And there's a lot more to do with big pharma companies, but my way to do with big pharma companies is redacted, redacted, and redacted. So I can't really go far much into that. But that's again, I can't say it, but you guys know exactly what I'm capable of. But anyway. All right, David. Any last words? We got. Time's almost up here.
I'm gonna bring that up real quick, Demetria. You remember the new airline in California, like the new commuter rail system?
Yeah.
That about 10 miles. That could work here in Charleston. That could straight up work here with the population we have.
Yeah, I think there are some things that can be adapted that are working in other states or working in other counties or regions or in other countries. Again, when I've said, bringing something like the Shinkansen over here, it doesn't mean copying and pasting it over here, okay? Because American sensibilities are not the same as Japanese sensibilities, right? So you have to bring in something that's going to be adapted to the American psyche, to the American way of things working. Because what Texas Central Railway had would have worked perfectly here. Now, I would have said that maybe the station should have been more centrally located. It's still not completely dead. It's very much working on one limb at this point. It's like it's like in those movies or animes or something like that. Like all the guy's limbs are off and he's just like crawling with one limb at this point. That's basically what Texas Central Railway is at here. But I don't think we're gonna see. It may come back, but I think it's gonna be it's gonna end up like I don't like the way it's going with Texas Central Railway. It's sad. And this was done on purpose, with the way that you saw how fast, and again, it was 2 separate courts. The federal court of Texas is a different court than the state Supreme Court of Texas. But you saw how quickly the federal judge was able to move right after the election. Within 3 days, he was able to make that decision. But when it came to the decision for a company that was going to bring in billions of dollars into the economy of Texas, that had this project in the bag, they had it in the bag. For them to go ahead, for that state Supreme Court to go ahead and delay the decision that long was done purposefully. There's no doubt about it.
You know, the guy who does it need to go to jail. Like him and the people who
he won't.
Did all that they need.
He won't. It's gonna be like Sam Bankman-Fried over here, SBF. He's going to Argentina. He'll probably be living down the street from a very old retired painter with the strange accent. That's where he's going. he's gone. This is not the problem when you run the system and you have control of it. you're not liable to the same laws that everybody else is unless somebody acts outside the laws. The laws of nature we're talking about. You're still liable. You're not liable to the laws that you make. That's the problem. If you run the game, if you're the bank of Monopoly, who's going to stop you from going ahead and adding, a couple of extra $100 into your pile? You can get accused for it, but no one can't. You're the bank. You run it. But
And
anyway,
that's true.
yeah. And this is the thing is like we're running in a political system that's not too different from Monopoly. It's not too different from the board game. But anyway, all right, David, I appreciate you coming on here. It's always a pleasure hearing from you and having your voice on here. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on board.
Well, you have a good night, and I'm going to be editing some video for YouTube, so talk to you all later.
Not a problem. Take care.
Bye, guys.
All right, and let's have a little special favor for you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and let's see if I can anyway, let's go ahead and share this. So on Monday there will be a YouTube short that will be coming out. And this is sort of a primer to the bigger episode that's going to be coming out hopefully by the end of this month, hopefully somewhere by around Thanksgiving time or so, when you go to your families and spend some holiday time in the suburbs. Don't forget.
Shake my hand. Come on, boys. Won't you shake a poor sinner's hand? Yes. Are you ready? Are you ready?
That'll be coming on Monday. I'll play it one more time for you guys to hear. Let's go ahead and just put the volume up a little bit more. One more time.
Shake my hand. Come on, boys. Won't you shake a poor sinner's hand? Yes. Are you ready? Are you ready?
All right. You will see that on Monday. You can play it to your heart's content on Monday. You guys here got the sneak peek of it. Hopefully YouTube doesn't catch that and then demonetize this video. Not like it's gonna make that much anyway, but hey, it's what it is. All right, still next caller on here. Again, if you guys want to come on here, again, keep it to 5 minutes. We're gonna have the next caller on here. Keep your hands up if you want to speak. Focus 9912 is on.
Hello.
Welcome aboard.
Can you hear me? You hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. How's it going?
So in regards for the election, never mind. But for the first part regarding Egypt getting by the Deutsche Bahn, for their high-speed operation, I was a bit skeptical actually.
On Egypt?
Because, yeah, that one. But then again, because how bad is the current operation of Deutsche Bahn right now, and even their tendency to overcost and also complicates like how California high-speed rail been operates. But the main reason I'm talking right now is in my country, Malaysia, there will be an early general election next week on Saturday, which, well, I definitely won't be voting for the current government due to the fact that they somehow F up massively their LRT line, which is the most used LRT line in the capital. Yeah.
Well, I'm not too familiar with the government over there in Malaysia, but it's not.
I recently have some article, the general channel for some. If you want to saw the article, but it's quite bad actually.
Yeah, sure. If you want to share it on the general chat, go ahead, and I'll take a look at it and probably give my 2 cents about it in the next live stream. But yeah, I mean, as long as you're getting more involved over there, I mean, I don't there's nothing wrong with that. So, I mean, anything in particular that you're upset about, or if they mismanaged the transit system over there?
Yeah, to be honest, the fact that um our two choices right now is between the Pakatan Harapan, which the one that originally win the 2018 before it been overturned during the 2020, which apply which it promises around 10,000 buses, including 7,000 buses in Malaysia, I mean in Kuala Lumpur. And while the current government is more towards building more like the MRT and and you can and based on their budget 2023, because they just recently um reveal their budget, but in the end they dissolve the parliament early.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's
But it's alright lah. So do you think in New York in particular, the fact that Katie Hochul wins the general election by a relatively slim margin will perhaps make her realize that he can be in a bit of a trouble water, so hopefully it can encourage her to build more transit projects perhaps.
I don't think so. And the thing is that you've had a lot of governors there that have promised a whole lot of transit projects, particularly into places like the reason why the New York and the tri-state area, particularly places like Staten Island, have gotten far more red. And Staten Island has very much been like the only red part there in the 5 boroughs. But a lot of other you see now a lot more of a Republican surge in there. It's just because they're ticked off of the other side that hasn't been coming. You have a lot of crime now in New York. The whole economy and the shutdown the last 2 years has absolutely pummeled New York City. It's looking like something out of a Carpenter movie, and it's just it's gotten a lot of people off. So either people are getting more upset there in New York, the people who have stayed in New York, or the people who are already upset and fed up are going to Florida or going to other states like Texas, and then just voting red over there. So I don't think it's going to really change anything there in New York. I think you're just going to see more people get ticked off. I don't see New York going red anytime soon, but I just see people getting just more frustrated with the way things are going and simply leaving. New York's population has been decreasing. It used to be the 3rd largest state before, and now it's gone to the 4th largest state, with Florida taking its place in the lead. So it's now California, Texas, and Florida that are now the 3 largest states population-wise, in the United States. So I honestly, I think it's just going to be trending more into that direction. I don't think there's going to be much in terms of transit policies follow through under her governance, but you never know. But again, when it comes to the current politics, we've seen Democrats promise a lot, never follow through. We see Republicans don't really promise much of anything and don't really push much of anything. But things could change. It very much will change, probably with the next generation coming in. Anyway, anything else you want to add on?
I think, to be honest, that's it, because to be sorry, because I'm actually pursuing my degree, but hopefully if the next launch is on a weekend, perhaps I will join. So hopefully I will join you after the next week election, which is actually my first time voting.
Oh, no problem. Well, congratulations and enjoy it. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. All right. So the next caller in here is My App. Seems to be a new caller. Let's go ahead and invite him to speak. All right, My App, you are welcome aboard. All right. While we're waiting, I completely forgot, and I apologize. We do have a super chat in here from Shock22957 for $9.99. Thank you very much, Shock. Where has Amtrak been spending the money that they got? So far, it looks like they're going to be spending the money on trying to revitalize long-distance travel and trying to bring up these shorter regional lines like in Ohio, which I think that will probably be a better push on money. But we'll see. They're just getting the money in now. We'll see where it goes. I'll see if I can try to find within the next week or so for the next. I'll put that down on my list for the next live stream. We'll go ahead and talk about that. I'll go ahead and see. All right, my app. Going once. We'll count to 3 here. You've been invited to come on board. Going twice. Twice and a half. All right. We'll time out. Well, not time out. I don't know how to do this. Okay. Oh, here we go. We'll bring Aegis on board. How about that? Aegis, you're invited to speak. Come on board. All right, Aegis, you're on.
Hello there.
All right, how's it going, man?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
It is going well.
All right, been a long time. How's it going?
College is lukewarm. It's like you're kind of getting used to it, but it's like you understand everything. Like you understand the concepts. You're in. But then you get hit by a brick wall that says you have to do it. It's a little better than high school, but it's like it's very weird.
Yeah, and that's basically what college is. It's more or less an extension of high school. You get a little more freedom, which a lot of people take a little bit too much advantage of that freedom and start to go haywire, which a lot of the people who peaked in high school, after college, they're basically done for. They don't really amount to anything else afterwards. But at least with college, I mean, you can sort of make and break it there. Honestly, don't worry too much when it comes to, trying to, have the highest scores, anything like that. Really, you want to try to use your time in college for making friends. I mean, the best friend that I've made in college, Alex, who's, the VP for the club, I still talk to him basically every day, and he's been my best friend since college. So you can sort of, it's a better time to sort of make friends because you lose a lot of connections with people, between middle school and high school. I mean, I still have one of my best friends from high school that I've met in high school, and we still talk more or less every day too. But it's a lot easier in college that now you've kind of made yourself who you are. You're kind of, not a fully grown adult, but you're basically an adult at this point. You sort of formed what your personality is going to be. It's a lot easier to sort of make friends at that point and be more honest about it in a sense. So that's what you really want to use your time for, making connections, sort of seeing what it is that you work best in a professional community, what you really want to do with your life in terms of that if you haven't figured it out yet, and just test it. That's what I did with the club, sort of kind of testing myself to see, what it is that I could do with the skills that I have, what I wanted to do with my passion, and use it. So that's sort of what you want to kind of look at in college. It's just kind of see where you want to go with yourself. And don't waste time with parties or anything like that. Honestly, parties are a waste of time.
I'm not. Parties are like I've never been to.
Don't worry. You're not missing much, man. You're not missing much.
The only thing that has come close to that is like just hanging out with friends and like playing X and Allies, basically.
Yeah, and that's really fun. Honestly, it's just going that. I mean, heck, a lot of my college time was spent with with friends that I made there, and we were playing League of Legends, which is an awful game. I don't know why people are still playing League of Legends. If you haven't quit, 5 years ago already, or 6 or 7 years ago, I don't know what you're doing. That game destroys friendships pretty quickly. But anyway, anything you want to add in terms of transportation or anything that's gone on in the country? Hey, somewhere in the back your neighborhood, you got something approved.
Yeah. The good news is that we've got the WMATA extension up for the big fat metro extension that should have come decades ago. Is finally getting opened up next week.
Yeah.
But I would recommend a good article. It was by a guy known as Elon Levy. It's a guy I followed for like a very long time.
Oh yes, I'm very familiar with him. Yeah.
Well, he just got a new Vice News article. Vice did a good piece He did a good piece for Vice they laid it out in like a very simple way for the average commoner basically. It's like about transit costs, which is personally
I think-
like it really focuses.
I know I've heard of it. I've maybe have skimmed through it, but I know him and another researcher they were doing some research, or were going to do some research for Amtrak on cutting up a lot of the costs of improving the Northeast Corridor. I don't know if he's finished that study yet or not, but knowing him and the research that he's done and knowing the experience that he has, it's pretty simple. And I've used a lot of his experience, and I've read a lot of his articles and on his blog to sort of formulate a little bit better in terms of, especially when it comes to the costs and allocation of funding for transportation. He is very on point when it comes to that.
And he really hits the nail. Like I was at one of the last year, like the day before my senior year, in high school, I did a little round table. I was there at a small round table, bunch of these big heavyweights, all like along with Elon, especially has been going over like those big that conference specifically. It's like that's one of the biggest moments that really changed my life. Is like you have like all these small, like this little small group, and it's like just being around them, like on like a little virtual, like a little what's it called, the Zoom.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just,
And there's a, and it's good to have that. There is going to be, and I will say, Rail Passengers Alliance is going to have a special webinar event for those of you guys who don't know. And I will put the link in the chat. So Rail Passengers and Amtrak on Tuesday, November the 15th, they're going to speak directly with Amtrak's Vice President of Long Distance Service, Larry Chesler, about the state of passenger service and what the future holds for America's railroad. So this is good to go ahead and listen in and see what the talk is. It's just a way to at least get involved with it and get involved with the Rail Passenger Alliance and a couple of other clubs as well, especially the High Speed Rail Passenger Association. Get involved with these programs. It doesn't cost anything. It's a good way to get in there. Get involved with your local Department of Transportation, especially now after the coup. All these they're all online now. You don't have to actually drive there anymore over broken roads and stuff like that to get to your Department of Transportation to talk about how much money they're sinking in. So it's all free. So let me go ahead and copy the links over here and put them in the chat so you guys can go ahead and see. But yeah, that's very good, man. Anything else you want to go ahead and add on?
yeah. Oh, speaking of that, I have this. I'm going to be attending something like a good like. It's not like I'm going to be like 1,000 miles away, but it's going to be like I'm going to be. I put on the calendar for a good to virtually attend something in Atlanta for their light rail extension program.
Good.
Like they're doing their environmental round sessions. Like I'm basically going to be probably going to be the only guy. I can't wait to see like tons of baby boomers just lined up in the
Yeah,
like
but
just saying,
definitely
"You don't
take
want my traffic."
But here's the thing.
Don't-
Definitely use your youth while you have it to your advantage, because especially if you're well mannered, well dressed, and know how to talk, you can be able to, and people will know that you're young, you're smart, you're sharp, you can do a lot. You will be able to move that. So use that to your advantage. Okay. Don't just don't worry about that. Anyway.
We're not gonna. This generation's definitely not gonna waste its youth.
Yeah, let's not waste it, because that's what we got. They say that youth is wasted on the young, but definitely wisdom is wasted on the old. So be both wise and young at the same time, and even young at heart. So you gotta use both. All right, man. I appreciate you coming on. It's always a pleasure having you on, man, Egas. All right, take care, man.
All right, I will see you.
God bless.
Ciao.
All righty. Okay, so we got two more callers, and then we'll call it a night. We have Star Force 25, followed by Grand Trunk Railway, and that will be the night. And then we'll see if anybody has put in some memes. Hello, Star Force.
Hello.
You're on board.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, man. How's it going?
Cool. I don't know how long it's been since I've last been on a live call. A lot has happened, especially on my side of things, and I feel like some of the experiences that I've had as the last few months, I feel like says a lot about like especially now, like I'm becoming more aware of uh, the urban infrastructure and urban design in general, like how our cities are designed. I was actually took my first ever like vacation on my own, and I was originally thinking of going to like some like a city nearby like St. Louis or Minneapolis, but I decided like I wanted to go to a city. I wanted to explore a city that, like Chicago, is like somewhat like doing like infrastructure like transportation infrastructure, right?
Right, a relatively robust, system comparatively to the rest of the United States.
Yeah, so I ended up going to Boston and experienced the MBTA's transit system for the first time, which was, I would honestly have to say, mind blowing, to say the least.
Nice.
Yeah, and obviously I wanted to like, obviously I wanted to go there to look at like kind of the foundation of our country, not just like politically, but also like just kind of seeing like over there like how all the how all the like the like how very urban it is like compared to like out here where it's not so much like some of those are like some of the first some of the first cities in the country, and seeing like even like along the Northeast corridor where you have like the Acela corridor going all the way to New York and Philly and DC.
Right, a lot more densely populated cities, more old world infrastructure and city planning that's been put into it.
Yeah, and I've also been looking at different urban videos, specifically with cycling infrastructure, which is another thing that I've really gotten analytical with. Like, I feel like to have better transit and better rail, passenger rail in general, like you need to start with like building up urban cores that are more suitable for walking and cycling than somewhere that's been like building it around the car. And I think that's still like the issue that we need to address, like especially how we're pushing towards like greener modes of transportation. It's ultimately like what we're seeing, what we've seen in Europe for years, especially in like places like Amsterdam and Copenhagen. The better the answer to the better answer to tackling climate change and like providing greener and more efficient modes of transportation, it needs to be like more so like cycling and walking over autonomous cars.
Right, and we're seeing a lot of these conferences. They want to have more spending, more money, more this, more that. When it's just simple. It's a simple solution. It's going back to what we had before. The first form of transportation is just walking, and that has worked for us for whatever amount of recorded history. Whether you believe in young Earth creationism or old Earth creation or evolution or whatnot, we got legs. They were meant to be used. So in having that, and if when you go to cities like, for example, like Boston, or like cities like I've been to, like in New York and in Tokyo, you see that's the main way of getting around is through walking. Yet the trains do help, absolutely, but you're walking on a train and walking off a train. that's the whole point, is to facilitate that sort of transportation, make it easier to get people around there, where they don't have to completely own something. Now, they, responsibility wise as a city, yeah, they feel a sense of ownership over the infrastructure, but it's there to help the people and to have that as, it's something that they can call their own.
Yeah, and the other thing that is important is you can move like the same amount of people like along like a bit like a busy like corridor. Like you can literally like narrow down a wide boulevard or highway and add bicycle lanes and widen sidewalks and add like BRT and tram lines, and you'll move the same amount of people and the thing is, like, to make these trips faster and more convenient, you have to free up the congestion. You have to think about, like, not so much trying to just make it faster to get there for the sake of speed, but thinking about how the traffic flow. Like,
Absolutely,
we've already seen this on the interstate highway system. Adding another lane is not going to solve issues. In fact, it just makes it worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you narrow down the highways and at the same time install other modes of transportation, you're still going to have free flowing, like, less congested highways.
No, you're absolutely right about that, and I think that's something that most people now need to start thinking about. Is that has it really worked? We've been building all these highways, we've been building all these roads, building all these suburbs. Is it really working? Is it really working, guys? And I think people are starting to figure out that question, especially with this generation. And I don't ascribe to the feeling that Generation Z is becoming more I think Gen Z is becoming far more extreme on both ends of the direction. It's just that a lot of I would say, and especially me, look, I didn't vote this election. I just after 2020, I just said, like, what's the point? What's the deal? I'll wait until something, or maybe if when I move back to Florida or something like that, when it really counts, like, sure. But at this point, it's like, what's the point when it's just the same thing over and over again, instead of spending the effort to go ahead and have one vote when somebody else will go ahead and, get rid of my vote? Why don't I spend the time to get more locally involved in my community and do that sort of stuff? And I think that's sort of the shift that we're seeing, is that, you're having a group of people that are seeing that maybe they can go ahead and amass an amount of vote, or some people are just saying, I'm not going to spend my effort in it. I want to separate from the system, and I want to try to do something else within my own local community. So we're starting to see that shift both ways. I really think that's where things are going. But
exactly,
yeah,
you need to start at the local level. You need to you yourself would need to assess, like, this area around you and think, like, what is working, what are we seeing on our streets, and what kind of problems are we seeing, and how can we address those problems in terms of, like, transforming infrastructure? Because, for example, like, where I live in Chicago, like, it's very urban, but we still have too much car traffic.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And there's a good amount of bicycle traffic as well, but I mean, obviously nowhere near as much as cars. But really, the best bicycle infrastructure you'll have in Chicago is along the lakefront, and pretty much almost everywhere else, it's kind of neglected.
Absolutely. I thank you for coming on, Star Force. We're running out of time, but thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Not a problem.
Thank you so much.
All right, and the last caller for tonight, Grand Trunk. Welcome aboard. You are invited to speak.
Yo, yo, yo!
Hey, how's it going? I can hear you loud and clear.
Doing alright. The FRA has started a study on long distance routes. Took them long enough.
After this point, and now at least hopefully we'll see. I don't know if you've seen, but this rail passengers webinar does seem a little bit promising in terms of the news that we'll get and what's going on. So you never know. And I do think, you know, long distance for sure has a point here in the United States, but there needs to be more support in regional services before we start fixing up our long distance lines again.
Like improving the frequency, the speed, etc.
Right, exactly where it works. When you have that sweet spot between that 300 to 500 mile range where you have regional rail, once you be able to get that, then once you can go ahead and move on. It doesn't mean to get rid of long distance if you can, but, you know, going ahead and improving long distance services. And this has been, you know, coming from someone who's gone on a lot of long distance trips on Amtrak, on the Silver Star and Silver Meteor. You know, I can very much say that there's a lot that needs to be done with that, and there have been some improvements now with the new Amp fleet equipment coming in and improving and furnishing up the interior finally. But, you know, there's still a lot more in terms of service that needs to be done. That's really where the focus needs to be on. Not just, you know, service, we're talking about, you know, food or anything like that, but punctuality is definitely the biggest thing that Amtrak needs to improve on. Speed and punctuality. And it can be done. But anyway, anything you wanted to opine in terms of that?
That's pretty much it. Have you heard of the Chicago L got its new trains?
I heard about that, yeah.
The 7000 series.
Yeah, they look pretty nice. Let me see if I can bring up a picture about that. Let me see. Chicago. If it'll come up. Here we are. Let's get a picture. There we are. And they're pretty, you know, pretty snazzy looking. Kind of similar to what, so I can get this going. There we are. There you are. For those who can, who are just listening in or can't see it, there's a Chicago 7000 series CTA trains. But yeah, at least they're starting to get a little bit new equipment now. You know, there needs to be some more improvements to the punctuality of the service and you know, the maintenance and everything else. Absolutely, but it's still a start, right? So that's still one thing. All right. Anything else you want to add on, or was that it?
That's it.
All right. No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on.
No problem.
All righty. God bless and have a good night. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm looking at the memes over here, guys, and I'm not seeing anything new in terms of memes. So, looks like we'll go ahead and end it over here. But I think that's about it that we got right now. I think where we're going on in this country, like I said before, it's time to start looking in your local areas, guys. It's time to start getting involved in there. Start seeing what sort of, you know, get involved with that. So I linked it below, the Rail Passengers Alliance. Get involved with the webinar. It's 12 o'clock. Eastern time, I believe, on a Tuesday, on a Zoom call, so you can even put it up if you're in a class or whatever, in a college class or whatnot. Nobody's paying attention in college classes anyway, and you're going to go ahead and look in the textbook afterwards, or go ahead and during the test, you're going to pull up your phone on Google and look up the answers, okay? Don't give me that. But go ahead and sign up for that. Sign up for the webinar. Just get involved. Just having more younger faces on there instead of, you know, some of the same faces that we've seen on other. Start getting involved. That's your one step into there. So if for everybody's homework for the next stream, I'm going to start asking people on the next stream, did you attend that? So we're going to do that. So I want everybody to go ahead, add that on there. I myself, I'm going to go ahead and sign up right after the stream for that. Again, 12 p.m. Eastern time, Tuesday, November 15th on Zoom. Go ahead, sign up for it. Just even if you're not paying attention, at least listen in. There may be some stuff that may be, you know, that will pique your interest here or there. So register for it, sign up, and it's free, guys. You know, again, it's we can all afford free, right? This is the only thing I'm hawking today is free. This is the only thing I'm shilling for today. It's free. It's Rail Passengers Association. Okay, there are guys. Okay, so go ahead, sign up for that, and I'm going to put a poll next stream. I'm going to put a poll. Did you attend it? Now you can lie on it. You can lie, but I'm going to put on a poll, and I'm going to see how involved we really are, how serious we are. And it's just one thing. Again, even if you put it up on the background and listen to it on the background, you still attended. Okay, so this is your easy homework. Everybody's got to do it. Okay, and I'm going to put it on the general chat as well. Okay, this is everybody's homework. All right, attend this. But that's all we have for today, folks. I do thank you for all for coming on. And again, like and subscribe to the channel. It's the only way we get things around. And I thank you guys for the support that we're giving. We're starting to get back on there. Okay, we're finally getting things going and moving over here. We're going to close out the year right, and we're gonna get things going next year. So we're accelerating now. We're putting everything going so we can at least close this year on a good note and start barreling into next year with good things. So we want to grow this channel. We want to get more involvement. We want to make this the actual club that it's meant to be. And this is good that we're having people coming on here. We're having the lounge streams. We're having some shorts, and those shorts have been doing very well. The one on Brightline got 7,000 views on its first day, so that was pretty good. And we're going to be getting back the longer form videos again. So thank you all for coming on board this live stream of the American Rail Club. We will see you all next time. Good night and Godspeed.